Here are creepiest encounters ever revealed on Joe Rogan Podcast. In episode 2020, Python Cowboy reveals a chilling discovery, a satanic ritual site deep in the Florida wilderness.
Since 1965, there's only been 175 unsolved cases involving deaths and murders.
Okay.
That's just the bodies. But that's like deaths and murders.
Well,
I would imagine that would be a good place to drop off a body.
That's kind of what I was going to say, is it's a very good place to go hide stuff. I've found vehicles that were used in crimes dumped out there. I've found dogs from dog fights that were dumped out there. I've found animals that have just been dumped. I've found very intricate and mind-blowing satanic rituals and sacrifices out there.
What?
Oh yeah. So I was, which I found different stuff before. You know, I'll find maybe where someone was doing some voodoo, some Santeria, sacrificed a chicken, whatever. All that's like kind of normal out there. That's not that crazy. But what I found this night was very crazy. Yeah, the police came and investigated it. It made the news. And that's the facility I was hunting. It's Aerojet. It's actually an abandoned space rocket facility from the Cold War, where they were developing and testing space rockets.
And what were you hunting there?
Pythons. I was out there, hunting these snakes, and this facility is you need special access. I was given special access by the state of Florida to remove pythons from out there. And nobody can just go back out there, but people do go out there, as you can see from the graffiti and different stuff like that, usually to do stuff that they're not supposed to do. There's a lot of crimes committed out there. There've been murders out there, gang initiations, all kind of stuff.
So they have a pentagram that's...
So, yeah, it's a whole thing. So we go out there. The first thing I came across was a big rock pile with a upside-down wooden cross on top, and a bunch of red spray-painted upside-down crosses all over. And you could tell the cross, I think, was burnt a little bit. And it wasn't, crazy, super crazy. It was like, oh, this is new. This wasn't out here a few days ago. And then I found this little doll. And as I kind of investigated that doll more, a little red scarlet snake actually came up and wrapped around her neck. And I picked up this, there it is. I picked up the scarlet snake, and which, it was kind of weird that there's a live snake, a red snake on this doll. And I've caught a lot of snakes in my life, and that is the only one that was bleeding out of its anus. There was blood coming out of its beehole, which, I don't know why, who knows what. It was a little weird to me. And then the night just kind of gets weirder from there. You see the red lettering in the other clip. It was a big Latin saying, like 100 foot long pretty much, on the road. I drove over it. We later translated it to, turn around, run, hide, he is watching you. Go further into the complex, and there's these big abandoned buildings. I go into the building, still just python hunting. Like, who knows what these kids are doing out here. I thought it was strange, the Latin, your average kid just messing around, don't know Latin sayings like that. And then I come to this big room where there's the big pentagram. In the middle of the pentagram, there is a three-legged plastic chair with a blood stain in the bottom of it, where you could tell something was killed, sacrificed, whatever. On each wall, there's 3 walls. On each wall, there's upside-down crosses, Latin sayings, and all kinds of stuff. As I'm kind of walking into the room, which, I don't want to sound like a psycho or anything, but that doll from earlier grabbed my leg. I don't know if I kicked it, I didn't see it, or what, but that doll from the rock pile somewhere else, I don't know if it was another doll or what. I never seen that other doll. I kick it. It seemed like it grabbed me. It's that same doll from earlier. Same thing with the cross on its forehead, the one eye cocked over, the other eye messed up. And so, it's very, very weird to me. It kind of like scared me.
So
right next,
it wasn't there, and then it was there. So
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice
You
it.
didn't carry it over there.
No, I didn't touch it.
So was anybody else with you?
I had 2 guys with me that didn't even want to get out of the truck when they seen the first thing. They stayed in the truck.
So the same doll that you saw on the rock pile somehow made its way to where you were?
Yep. I don't know if it's a duplicate doll or what, but it's same.
Was there more than one of those dolls?
Only doll I seen. I'm not big on the whole supernatural thing, so I'm real doubtful of it in the first place. But to me, it was the same doll from earlier. I did not see it until it hit my foot. Right next to that doll, there is a saying on the ground that says, "The omen will follow," which to me was like the creepiest thing of the whole thing. Was like, that if you interact with any of this spirit's going to follow you. Which I'm Christian, I believe in God, and I wasn't worried. I know the good Lord has my back. But very strange, right? Very strange. As we go through, there's all kind of different stuff. In one of the rooms, there's a sleeping bag with something inside of it. I don't think it was a body, anything like that. Police went out there, investigated it. I didn't investigate further past that. Something was inside the sleeping bag, and on the walls there was, looked like red spray paint. And it said, she was only 9. We gave her to the devil, like basically talking about sacrificing a child. And then you have this little girl's gown that's nailed to the wall with like a dark red stain on it.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And what was the investigation? Did you follow up and find out what they found out?
I never heard anything from it. I'm assuming they never found much from it because I never heard anything from it.
Do they know?
I mean, there's one road in, one road out. There's a gate at the end of it. You can't drive a vehicle in. And I mean, we're miles out here. You have to drive miles to then walk miles, right? So I see this flashlight bouncing on the side of the road as I'm driving out. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? No, I've never seen anyone out here in my life, ever. Getting closer to him. I have my pistol in my truck. I put my pistol on my lap, just in case. As I'm getting closer, about to kind of pass the guy's like, Mike. It's my name. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm definitely shooting this guy. Like, what the fuck, And he's like, I love your Instagram. I was like,
In episode 1351, Dan Aykroyd recalls the night he shared a bed with a ghost.
I prefer to ride in the country up north in Canada, where I'm living.
That's that where you live these days?
Half and half here, half there, kind of.
LA,
a little more in the States because of the travel with the band and that. But I'm there with my dad in Canada a lot, and we have the old family farm, but with the haunted farmhouse, and I've got a book for you. Well, let me say that there's residual energy from the people who've lived there in the past. So you hear footsteps and voices and creaks and doors closing and that, and many people have had experiences in it. So
there's a reason why people don't want to live in a house where people were murdered.
No one was killed in that farmhouse, but many people passed there.
But even that weirds people out. But absolutely, if you have a house where people were murdered, and this is why there's laws, you have to divulge.
I had to divulge.
Did you?
It wasn't because of a murder, but when I sold our house in Los Angeles, we lived in Mama Cass's old estate on Woodrow Wilson Drive, and we sold it to Beverly D'Angelo, and she's been on the Celebrity Ghost Show talking about the spirits that were in that house.
What happens?
Jewelry will hop around on the table, shapes will be seen, you'll feel a touch in the shoulder, that kind of thing. The staff felt it. And I had an experience one night where something got into bed with me. I was alone. I don't know what went on there, but I just figured out.
You fucked a ghost?
I think I was being come on to there, but anyway,
this is a YouTube clip. Right
that house,
Dan Aykroyd fucked a ghost.
Well, or it did try to come on to me, and I didn't refuse its. So
you resisted?
Wanton. You know what? I just snuggled up next to it and went to sleep.
You spooned with it.
I did. I felt a shape. I looked and saw the depression. I saw the depression in the mattress, and I felt a shape, something next to me, like felt a form next to me, and
Were you hammered?
I nuggled. No, not that night. I was working on a picture and went to bed early. But I was alone in the house.
You're laying alone in bed, and you're working on a film,
I'm lying there.
What film was it?
It was something that I've been working down at Universal. I don't know, maybe Dragnet or something like that.
Okay. So you're working on Dragnet, you're lying in bed, and then there's like a weight next to you.
I feel a weight next to me. I turn and I look.
Like a person is laying in bed.
I saw the depression. There were two, yes, and there were two spirits that might have been there. Maybe Mama Cass herself, although she died in London. And then there was another guy that apparently, a rumor was he died of a drug overdose at a party and they buried him in the hillside. Oh. And my daughter saw him walking with a little red-haired girl down the hall once, and we think that he might have been there.
Tell me about this thing. You're laying down in bed, so you're about to go to sleep.
I'm about to go to sleep, and
working
I feel
on Dragnet, everything's good.
And I feel this depression. I feel this something. And
Are you asleep yet?
Not asleep. No. I just turned out the light, and I look and I see this depression, and then I go, well, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to leap up screaming? No. I rolled over and I just kind of snuggled up against it and went to sleep. And I slept like a baby. So
sleep.
There's a scene in the Ghostbusters movie where I'm lying down in an old fort, and then this ghost hovers over me. And in the director's cut, I think the belt comes off and the pants come down. I think.
Whoa.
Yeah. So sex with ghosts.
You didn't get nervous?
You know, I may have been so tired. I may have been so resolved and resigned. I thought, you know what? There's no point in panicking. There it is. Yeah.
Ghostbusters bedroom scene.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Okay, jeez.
Look, you
okay.
handsome devil back there. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, pants.
Yeah. There you have it.
So that's you. You just accept it.
Yes, that's right. I just accepted it.
That's the way to go, man. I mean, why fight it? It's spiritual.
It's true.
So, did you smell it?
No smell. Just the sense
felt the weight.
Felt the weight and saw the depression, and then when
did you feel anything on your body?
I did.
You feel
I felt a form. Yes, I did.
Form.
I felt a form next to me when I snuggled up next to it.
You didn't push away?
I did not.
Did you push against?
I actually kind of wanted to see what it felt like, if there was something there, and I did feel something there.
Did it feel feminine or masculine?
It felt masculine, hard.
Oh, you were cuddling with a dude, like a dead biker maybe.
I don't know. Maybe it was the guy who died in the hillside. I don't know.
Could be.
Well, I
just
don't
wanted
know.
friendship.
You know,
they say
male or female.
They say in the old days, men used to just sleep together. They would just actually sleep, like not.
Well,
like
you know, there's Ed Davis and Abraham Lincoln were partners, and they were law partners, and they slept in the same bed many times when they were on the road. Yeah.
Well, it's probably cold as fuck back then, and it was hard to keep the room
in that
heated.
part of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, just have a couple blankets and you stay heated together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you woke up in the morning, did you feel refreshed or violated?
I had slept beautifully. I woke up and
maybe better than ever.
Pretty good, yeah. And I told some people about the experience, and there were people that worked in the house and that were there, and then that lived and that knew there was something going on, but
they knew
nothing quite vivid.
You and a ghost had something happening
after I told them, yeah.
So they knew something was going on.
Well, because they'd hear the Stairmaster going by itself.
The exercise, the ghost exercise.
It apparently, yeah, and a hand on the shoulder. Then the sighting my daughter had. Then, other little things like jewelry dancing on the table. We knew something was going on in that house. Yeah.
Oh. So you're 100% in on ghosts.
I am.
Episode 1518 with David Cho, when a simple hitchhike turned into a night of silent terror.
A guy confessed to me that he was thinking of raping me when I stayed at his house.
Oh, Jesus. You stayed at his house? You didn't just hitchhike, you hitch-housed?
I was in the deep South. It was like I was trying to hitchhike from LA to New York City. I was with my friend Brian. Same thing. No one's going to pick up two fucking dudes. And John Wayne picks us up. Cowboy guy. 10-gallon hat. Mm-hmm. Damn, you boys look, hot out there. Get in the car. And he's telling us about shrimp po' boys. And, he works on a offshore oil rig, and it's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and it's just 2 weeks off right now. So he's like, "Where are you guys headed?" And we're like, "We're just trying to get to New York." New York? What you want to go there for? A bunch of queers out there. I don't know. We want to check it out. You guys want to stay at my house tonight? Like, this guy looks like grandpa. Just cowboy boots, cowboy hat, just big gut. Like, he's a dude.
Right.
Yeah, I'm young. I'm 17 or 18 at this time. We get to his house in this is what I'm talking about. Tiny town in Louisiana, deep South.
Okay.
Like, we get in his house, Die Hard movie collection, Rambo movie collection, shotguns, and
lube.
Just a dude, just a man's man. And he has and his part-time job is an anesthesiologist.
Part-time anesthesiologist.
Part-time and then part-time offshore oil rig. And I'm, this is summertime, deep South, covered with like grease and mosquitoes, living outside on the road, hitchhiking. He's like, "You guys want to take a shower?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah." I'm the first one in the shower. And then I come out, I got the towel wrapped on. He's like, he made us like a frozen pizza or something. And there's a protest on the television. It's San Fran. This is 1993 or 94. There's a protest of something with gay people in San Francisco, and they were protesting. And he's watching it. He's like, I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I'm queer. You never see me out there protesting." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then my friend Brian, who's covered in grease and dirt, he hasn't showered yet. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I started getting my clothes on. And it's one thing to be gay, and then it's one thing to be picked up by like a
big gay guy with a cowboy hat who takes you to his house.
So and here's the thing: I don't want to discourage people from hitchhiking. This is one weird incident that's happened in like 15 years of hitchhiking. So he's like, "Hey, Brian, it's your turn. Why don't you take a shower?" No, I'm okay. I'm all right. "You're filthy. Why don't you get in there and take a shower?" He's like, "No, I'm all right. I'm okay." And I go, "Oh fuck, what do we do?" Like, do a little powwow in the corner. He's like, "He's old. We can take him if he tries anything. We're tired." We were fucking so tired. We're like, he looks like he was like falling asleep on his couch, and he goes, "He's gonna go to sleep soon. Let's just fucking stay the night. It's fucking air conditioned in here, and then let's leave first thing in the morning before he wakes up." I'm like, "Okay, fuck it, let's just do it." "All right, boys, I'm gonna turn in." I'm like, "Yes." So we take the couch, and I go, "Let's sleep in a formation, and let's take turns. We should have just left." You go, you stay up for an hour, and then wake me up. I'll stay up for an hour. And then we'll leave crack of dawn. I had a pocket knife, so I slept like this. I took the knife and I put the thing like this, and I slept like that. And I stayed up for the first hour, and I see him walking around his room. The lights are on, and I'm like, this guy's not going to sleep. Midnight, 1 a.m. I'm like, what the fuck? Why won't this guy go to sleep?
Putting his masks on.
So I nudge Brian. I go, "Hey, it's your turn. I got him. I'm going to fucking pass out." He's out cold. I'm like, "Fuck, dude. Fuck, man." I'm too tired. And I go, "Okay, I'm just going to stay up the whole night." So I'm up. I'm like, guys are closing. Bring him back up again. Gripping the knife. And then sometime around 5:30 in the morning or something, my eyes are closed, but when you feel someone.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes out of his room, and he's standing there, and I could see, and then I go, "Oh shit," and then I grip the knife, and I go, "This is it. It's gonna happen right now." And he just leaves. He goes out the door, and I go, "Oh fuck," like. And then I wake up Brian. I go, "Brian, let's get the fuck out of here." He's like, what's going on?" He's like, "Dude, he just left." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to take a shower then." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "If he went to the store or something, like he's not going to
get some duct
tape. Yeah,
tape.
He's not going to be back for I'll jump in and jump. I go, "Dude, let's just go right now." Like I don't know if he was jerking off or what. Like I had my eyes closed, but he was standing right there, and he's like, I'll be quick." So he runs in, takes a fast shower. We get our clothes on, and like just as we're walking out, he's like, "Hey," he like pulls in. "You guys leaving without saying bye? I just went to the market to get some eggs for breakfast." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, dude." So I'm like, I have the knife in my hand the whole time. I go, like, it's that thing where I'm a people pleaser. Like, I'll even put my own life at risk to, like, this guy went to the store and got eggs for me, you know? Like, yeah, sure, we'll have some eggs. So we go in, and the guy starts talking about his wife and how he works on this offshore oil rig with, like, a younger dude. It's just two guys running this whole oil rig. And the other guy just talks about how much he hates gay people the whole time, not knowing that this guy is...
Wow.
And then he just like all the other times I've been picked up, he starts opening up about how he was married, he has a bunch of children, and then he figured out he was gay, and then he's just like, I could see it. He knows we're on our way out. He's never gonna see us. Let's just fucking let it on. You boys look so cute on the side of the road there last night, and it's like I was so like I'm so lonely. I don't get to, you know, you don't know what it's like to be a queer guy in the deep South. And man, when I came out this morning and I saw you guys sleeping together, you guys on the couch, you look so beautiful and perfect. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude. And then he says, I thought about just, you know, if you guys wouldn't mind if I just touched you a little bit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And, you know, we've once again, I froze. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, so and so I said, yeah, we're gonna leave now. So we just fucking booked it. And then all of his neighbors were black. Like he lived like in a black neighborhood, and like the houses are on stilts because of the swampland and whatever. And I don't know if he's done this before, but as we ran out, like I heard like the kids laughing, and they're like, "Oh, Tom, they're trying to do it again." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, like this isn't the first time." Like
Episode number 2213. Diane K. Boyd recalls the night strangers called her by name outside her remote cabin, forcing her to pull a gun for the first time in her. Remembers waking up under a strange light, surrounded by beings that weren't human.
So, what do you remember from that moment on?
When I regained consciousness, it wasn't real quick. It wasn't real walking right up. It was real slow. It was dim. My consciousness was kind of like in and out for a while. I didn't know where I was. The pain and the feeling that I was mortally wounded, something was so wrong inside. I felt like I was dying. And this is what really fueled the panic when I finally laid eyes on these creatures. Of course, you know, all of the mental programming that we get from Hollywood that aliens are invading monsters, you know, didn't help. But I instantly associated this feeling of dying with pain with them. So I was combative immediately.
Where were you?
I was lying on my back on a raised table. There was a light above me. It was not real bright. It was not so bright that I couldn't, see the outline of the fixture. But
what did the fixture look like?
Kind of like that, only much larger. Just a soft glow. And in the movie, there's a little bit of striking on the part of the aliens against me. That didn't happen. I lashed out at them. The one closest to me, I felt really weak. I didn't have enough strength to do much. So when my arm contacted him, he just fell back very unexpectedly easy into the other one. And I rolled off the table in the other direction. And they came around the table, and the three of them were coming towards me. And I just grabbed something from behind me, an object off of the shelf there, and started swinging it at them.
What was the object?
It was just some large, long cylinder or rod, glass, some clear material. I wasn't studying it. I was looking at them and swinging wildly, screaming threats. They stopped. And I was planning on attacking more fully, just making way past them. The only doorway I could see was on the other side of them.
And it looked like a doorway?
Yeah, it looked like a doorway, just,
And what did they look like?
I guess it's a pretty typical description nowadays. Very large eyes, hairless, two eyes, nose, mouth. I didn't see them speak or no change in the expressions. And to me, that in the face of all the screaming and the fear that I was projecting, their lack of reaction probably just added to my panic. But
did they feel like they were a living creature, or did they feel like they were a robot?
Well, they were without expression, I'll say that. But, I've had 45 years to think about that. In more recent years, I think, well, maybe if they're telepathic and it's developed enough to where they don't need to talk, they also don't need facial expression.
Right.
And so their ability to communicate with each other would be much richer and more complete than we have. And speech and frowns or smiles or whatever would become obsolete pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, that is a theory about where human beings are headed. If we continue to evolve, that we will one day reach this point where the biological limitations of our monkey bodies will slowly start to fade away, and we'll have different abilities to
well,
communicate.
Why would we need to frown or smile if you can say much more?
And also, their musculature, did they look like smooth, like they had no clear muscles?
Yeah, they were pretty smooth, very light. When I hit the one, it fell back into the other one pretty easily, like he weighed hardly anything.
Like a little kid?
Yeah. That was the most terrifying experience of my life. But when I tell this story and try to relate to people, I'm trying to communicate what I experienced and how utterly, utterly traumatic that was, and how it was so devastating. I was, on the verge of catatonic for weeks after it happened. But I don't want to relate this story in order to inspire fear, because I've had enough time to think about it that I think that it was unwarranted, that my reaction was just due to my ignorance of the situation. The fact that I was returned at all is pretty significant,
Yeah.
The idea that these beings are just kidnapping people willy-nilly and doing terrible things to them, I don't subscribe to that theory. Now, I try to separate what I actually experienced from things that I've concluded just from thinking about it. But it seems to me that, they've been seen, observed, there have been sightings for all, before I was born.
Had you heard of the Betty and Barney Hill story before you were abducted?
I probably had. But I thought if they had some sort of sinister intentions, it'd be a done deal. They wouldn't be sneaking around, hiding, and
Right.
I believe with that level of technology. Look at it this way. Human beings, just virtually everything technological that we have is just a few hundred years old. Before that, the most technological thing we had was fire. And in just the last 50 years, the progress of our science has grown to far overshadow everything we had accomplished in thousands of years before that. So I'm thinking what astronomers tell us about these other star systems is that they could be hundreds of thousands, millions, or maybe billions of years older than us. So if we accomplished the kind of technology that we have in a few decades, what is possible with millions of years of development. I mean, we couldn't begin to recognize what they're capable of.
Right.
So I think it's presumptuous for people to say, oh, they could never do that.
It really is an interesting conundrum because we know what we can do and we know where we came from. We have a very clear history of technology when it comes to humans. And we also know that there are planets surrounding stars all throughout our galaxy and all throughout the universe. But we're still skeptical. It's so funny. And
Yeah,
so
it is.
But for a guy like you who's actually encountered it, even though you saw it, it had to not seem real.
Oh, yeah, you're questioning your sanity for sure. I mean, it was like I was practically catatonic for days afterwards.
Episode number 1957. Shane Gillis recalls 2 disturbing moments when predators tried to lure him. Chilling stories you'll never forget.
I dodged 2 molestation attempts.
Really?
Yeah, 2.
What'd you dodge?
Well, I dodged one of them when I probably was like 7 or 8 years old. That was the scare. Well, they were both pretty scary, but that was the scarier one because I was at the library and I was by myself. You know, I was a latchkey kid. My parents just let me out of the house, which, you know, at the time was kind of normal. In retrospect, like thinking about it now, like I couldn't imagine letting my 7-year-old just
public
fucking
library.
wander around. Not just that, but walk to the public library, you know, in San Francisco. And this guy, I was looking at, I was always into like horror movies and monster movies and shit.
Yeah.
And so I was reading these books they had a section of like, you know, monster books.
Yeah.
And this guy came up to me and he goes, do you like monster books? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, I have some monster books in my car. You want to see them? I'm
No.
like, okay. Like, I didn't know any better. I was fucking 8 years old or whatever it was. And as I'm leaving with this guy, the librarian starts screaming, Joseph, you get away from that man. You know, like, that man just got out of jail. And she yells at him to get out of there, and the guy runs away, and I just started crying. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I dodged that bullet. And then another time when I was 13. When I was 13, we were hanging around this lake in Jamaica Plain. It was this like Jamaica Pond was this place we would go and fish. And there was another pond that was like this neighboring pond that was like slightly smaller. And this guy was always like running around the lake. He was jogging. And me and my friend Josh would be hanging out. This guy would come over and talk to us. You know, he seemed like a super normal guy. He used to be a teacher and he had retired. And, you know, he probably was like in his 60s. And one day, it's just me.
He went for it.
One day, it's just me. And I'm fishing. And he comes by and he's drunk.
Damn.
And he tells me he loves me, and I'm like super confused.
How old were you?
13.
Okay.
And I had been talking to this guy on and off. I had seen him, you know, for months.
Yeah.
Like he'd come by, say hi. It was always like casual, very good humored, very friendly, but he was like setting us up. And he comes by, and then I realize after, he tells me he loves me, but there can be no love without sex. That's what he says. And I'm like, what? And I had a knife. So I remember, like, I grabbed my knife in my pocket, and I had my hand on my knife, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to stab this guy.
Damn.
Yeah. I was like, this is going to, because there was no one around. There was no one around.
Wow.
It was just trees and
You were 13,
forest.
you were like,
I
I'm
was
going to have to
13.
stab.
Oh, I was going to cut this guy.
I would have trusted the guy. I would have been like, yeah, you're right.
You're smarter than me.
I'll see you later. I don't know what.
It was dangerous.
We had a guy go for us.
Yeah.
There was a guy that used to linger. Hilarious, dude. He was mentally challenged, but he would always hang out around my high school, and he would go to all the like basketball games. One day, we had like a tape recorder for the national anthem to play at the beginning of games. They would just hold a mic next to a tape recorder. It broke, so the mentally handicapped guy stood up and started singing, and the whole fucking gym was like, they started listening. Everybody just listened to the guy sing the national anthem.
Oh my God. Did he get all the words right?
I don't remember. I doubt it. I doubt it, dude. I think he was freestyling a little.
And the rockets
But no, he would try to get you. He would go to games, but he was like again, it wasn't that long ago. It was long enough that like people were like, yeah, he's weird. That old thing where like, there's a town pedophile, but he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
So he would like be like, you guys want to play football? And we were little kids at the high school football game playing like touch football. And he was like, you guys want to come out to my car? I have Nerf balls. And we were all like, no, dude, stop trying to fuck us. Like, we knew what he was doing. He was like, all right, see you guys.
Did he get away with it with anybody?
Probably.
If you get the mentally handicapped guy tricks you into getting into his car.
Nerf balls. I got Nerf balls out.
That's
of my
how
car.
he gets you?
And we were just fully like,
Nobody
dude,
would ever like take your advice again.
No.
Like, bro.
you got raped by that fucking idiot.
That fucking guy got you.
You got raped by an idiot, dude. Yeah, but just even in like 5th, 6th grade, we were like, no, dude, stop trying to rape us.
Every neighborhood has a guy.
Yeah. I didn't even realize the other guy. We had 2 guys. The other guy was he had a tricycle with his name on a license plate, like a fake license plate on the front of his tricycle. It was a sick tricycle. But he would come around and he would speak gibberish, but every once in a while it would get kind of sexual. Like he would come over and just be like, do you like pancakes? We're like, yeah, dude, we love pancakes. And he's like, do you ever put syrup on your pancakes? Like, yeah. He's like, you ever put syrup down your pants? You ever rub syrup all over your... Dude, stop. And then he'd just keep tricycling, dude.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if they ever actually got anyone.
Sometimes it just doesn't work and they just keep swinging.
Just keep swinging.
Forever.
Fuck it, dude. They're fucking... There was always like it was always on To Catch a Predator. They would always catch like a mentally handicapped guy. And there was always a part of me like,
yeah,
come on.
Episode number 2358. From strange voices to doors dripping with oil, Chad Wright's story is one of the creepiest ever told. Taken from JRE number 1361, when a Navy pilot meets something not of this world, a story as creepy as it gets.
So what year was your incident? And you have a very, very famous incident that's corroborated by actual evidence, which is one of the rare ones. What year was it, and where did it take place?
So it was 2004, November 14th. It's really, if you draw San Diego to Ensenada, Mexico, we're about 60 miles off the coast in between the two. We're doing workups, so when we get ready to deploy, this was for the 2005 deployment. We were going at sea for November and December of 2004. So we had been out. I had just taken over the squadron mid-October, so I'd been the CO for a month. So we go out and we're putting the battle group pieces together. So it's not just the air wing, but we're on the carrier. We've got the cruiser. We've got all the support ships out there, and we're going to integrate all the defenses and train as one unit. So the exercise that we're going to do is an air defense exercise where there's good guys, bad guys. They're all from the air wing. So the bad guys today are going to be the Marines, VMFA 232, the Red Devils. So they're going to launch, and they're going to go about 100 miles south of the ship, and we're the good guys, and we call it a 2v2, so it's 2 of us against 2 of them. And we're going to work with the USS Princeton, which is going to be the controller, and they're going to control the blue forces, and then the red guys are going to give us a presentation that, they're going to try and intercept so we can stop them from getting up towards a carrier. So that's kind of the training set that we're all good. So the Marines take off first, and they start heading to the south. Now, we have no idea that for 2 weeks, the 2 weeks we've been at sea, they've been tracking these things coming out of the sky. And when I talked to the Princeton controller, he's like up to about a dozen of them. They would come down from above 80,000 feet. They'd drop down to about 20,000 feet. They'd hang out, and then they'd go straight back up after about 3 or 4 hours.
Now, when you say they've been tracking them, who specifically?
This is the USS. The Princeton was tracking them. They saw them on the Nimitz radar, and the E-2 could see them. Because they're out there, that radar's on all the time. And the Spy 1 system on an Aegis cruiser is, the State-of-the-art is probably one of the most sophisticated systems in the world.
So typically when something like this happens and there is some unexplained phenomenon, what do they do?
In this case, if we were in a threat environment, they would tell us. But we're off the coast of San Diego. It doesn't come to the air wing. So we have no idea that these things are out there at all.
So they observe these things, and they never bothered telling any of you guys.
That's correct.
So they just knew that these things had been visiting this area,
yes,
but they just allowed this training exercise to take place anyway.
Yeah, talking to them, for the 2 weeks, they would show up, but it was when we weren't flying. So the typical carrier schedule is, for us, it was about noon to midnight. It's a 12-hour day. There's reasons for that. It can go a lot longer. But for training, we just do the 12-hour day thing. And it's cyclic ops, so you got guys taking off and landing periodically. So we were on one of the first goes. It's noon, 1 o'clock, somewhere around there, and we take off. The Marines take off first, and my buddy Cheeks, who's the CO of the Marine Squadron, he was leading the Red Air. When he launched off the carrier first, they called him up and said, "Hey, what do you got on board?" Well, the original legacy F-18s don't have as much gas as the Super Hornets. Super Hornet's about 30% bigger. So they start talking to him about fuel, and based on how long we're going to be airborne and everything else, they go, "Hey, why don't you just go ahead and proceed to your cap point?" Because we had just taken off. And that's when the controller had come up and said, "Hey," I forget our call sign. It's probably like dealer is usually what we went. So it'd be like dealer 11. This is Princeton Control. What do you got? Say your loadout. And I kind of chuckled. I said, "Well, I got a CATM 9, which is basically just a blue metal tube with a seeker head for an AIM-9 IR missile. It's a training. It doesn't come off the airplane. You can beat it with a sledgehammer. That's the only way you're going to get it off, or you got to unlock the lugs with a key." So I'm like kind of chuckling. He goes, "Well, hey, we're going to cancel the training." So we're like, "Okay." He says, "We got real world vector, and they're going to send us out to the west." So picture if it's, if you got a clock, the Nimitz is in the middle. We're a little bit south of that, about 40 miles south, and then the Marines are about 100 miles south of the ship, about 60 miles between the two of us. So as this is all happening, my wingman is joining up, and these are F-18Fs, so there's 2 people in each jet. So it's me and my Wizzo, which is weapon systems operator, and I've got the other pilot and the weapon systems operator in the other jet. So they tell us all this, hey, we're going to real world vector, and they send us out 270, about 60 miles away from where we're going. So now we're going out even further out to sea. We have no idea what we're intercepting, and this is when the controller starts talking to us. He says, "Hey, sir, we've seen these objects. For 2 weeks, they've been coming down," and he's giving us the whole story. He says, "We need you to go investigate. We want to know what these are." So
but they're asking you to investigate in a jet that's unarmed.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we have no... And there's reasons for that we don't fly. We typically don't fly with live ordnance unless we're actually going into like a combat zone or we're on a training range and we're going to shoot something. And the reason is you can go through history of the Navy or Air Force. If you put live missiles on airplanes and then you start doing training where you're squeezing the trigger, someone always messes the switchology up and someone gets shot down. It's happened multiple times. So we don't do it. There's times that we do, but it's rare. So we start flying out to the west. Now, I want you to think, because the other pilot has when you talk to, it's out there, it was a female. When you talk to her, here's the kind of goes through the mindset of, hey, we're off the coast of Mexico, real world vector. We have no idea what we're going to look at. Probably drug runner, because you get the drug runners coming up the coast. So we're like, okay. So we drive out, and they're calling down ranges. So they're telling us, hey, it's 270 at 30 miles at 20,000 feet. And it's, and then you just count down the ranges. And we're talking back and forth the whole time. So they got to a point where they say, hey, merge plot, which means radars have resolution cells, range and azimuth of what the radar can actually see. Once you're inside that box, you can't tell the difference between me and the object I'm going at. We're just become one big blob. So they call merge plot. And so the other jet is on my left-hand side. And I'm going to go to a clock code to make it simple. So the object we're going to end up looking for is right in the middle of the clock. And we are at the 6 o'clock position. And my wingman is off to my left side. So she's further down with her Wizzo. So as we're looking around, we look to the right, and yesterday was a perfect example out here. The water is perfectly calm, no white caps. I mean, it's literally a perfect San Diego, California day. And we see whitewater, something like if you see a seamount, rock underwater when you're standing on the shore and the waves are breaking over it and you're like, what is that? It's usually because there's a rock under the water. So it looks like that, but it's about the size of a 737. It actually kind of has a shape of like a cross, and it's pointing to the east. So you've got the long part going east-west, and you got a couple of things going north and south. So as we're looking at it, because that kind of draws our eyes, we're like, oh, that's kind of odd. We look down, and the Wizzo in the other airplane comes up and says, hey, skipper, do you? And that's about what he gets out of his mouth. And I'm kind of looking at the same thing. I go, dude, do you see that? What is that thing? And what we see is this white tic-tac looking object just above the surface of the water, pointing north-south, and it's going north-south, east-west. It's just radically moving forward, back, left, right at will. And it's moving around the disturbance, the white water that we see.
How big is this thing?
So, over time, it's about 40 feet long. And the way I estimate that is, I mean, I got a lot of time fighting other airplanes, so it's about the size of a Hornet fuselage. So that's why I say 40 feet. And this thing's just going left. So the first thing you see when you look down, you go, and this is with our eyes, it's not sensors, right? So we're looking down at this thing, and first thing you think is helicopter, right? Helicopters typically stay below 200 feet when we're out there, and they're just driving around. We're pretty far away from the ship for a helicopter for one of ours. So what is it? So the first thing you look for is rotor wash. You know, if you've watched any TV show that starts kicking the water up, and you can see that. It's really easy to see from the air. So we're like, no rotor wash. Matter of fact, don't see any rotors. Don't see any tail rotor. Don't see any, the main rotors. We're like, that's kind of weird. So as we're driving around, we're looking at this thing. We get to about the 9 o'clock position.
How far away are you from this thing?
I'm at 20,000 feet, and it's right down on the surface, right off our right side. So I'm probably maybe a couple miles lateral and 20,000 feet, and we're just watching it move around. And
so it's very small in your eyes.
Not overly small. I mean, an airplane down that low, it's 40 feet. You can see pretty well. It was pretty clear. So I'm like, okay. So I said, I'm gonna go check it out. That's what we're trained to do. The other pilot says, hey, I'm gonna stay up here, and I'm like, that's perfect. So now we'll get some separation. We'll get it from different views, and the other airplane will kind of have a god's eye view of everything that's going on as I go down and check this thing out. So I start driving around, and it's still doing its forward, back, left, right. It's still pointing north-south. We get to about the 12 o'clock position. I'm just in a nice, easy descent. And a reason, because I've been asked, could you go more aggressive? You can, but when you're out over water, the water looks the same at 20,000 feet as it does at 2,000 feet. You don't, so you can easily put yourself in a non-recoverable position if you're not paying attention and you go into the water. So I got this nice, easy descent. I get to about 12 o'clock, and as I'm coming down, I could guess probably about, 18,000 feet now, a couple thousand feet below the other airplane. The tic-tac just kind of rapidly goes boop and turns, so now it's kind of pointing east-west, and now it mirrors us. So it's above the surface, we're up high, we're coming down, it starts coming up. I'm like, well, this is getting interesting. So we kind of drive all the way around a circle, I'm descending, it's coming up, and I get over to about the 8 o'clock position on the clock, and it's over at about the 2 o'clock position. Well, the quickest way, as we know as kids, to get someone, you can keep going around the circle, nothing's going to happen. You cut across the circle. So I'm about, probably 2,000 to 3,000 feet above it, and I just kind of drop my nose aggressively, and I cut across the circle, and it's coming this way. It's because I'm trying to fly to where it's going to be, because I want to join on it. I want to see how close I can get to it.
Right.
And as I'm pulling up, it's kind of starting to cross my nose, and it starts to accelerate, and within about less than a second, as I start to pull nose onto it and it crosses right in front of me, it just goes poof and it's gone. So I call the other airplane and I said, hey, do you guys see that thing? And they're like, sir, it's gone. We don't see it at all. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. So we don't see it. We're looking. At the same time, I say, hey, let's turn around and let's go back to see what was in the water. Was there something there? So we turn around. We're right there. We haven't gone anywhere. It's gone. Water's perfectly, there's no white water, nothing. It's just blue. We're like, okay. So we turn back around. Now we're heading back out towards the east. And I tell the controller, I said, I first said, I'm kind of weirded out. And I told my backseater that. And we start heading back, and the controller on the Princeton comes up and he says, sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is back at your cap point. That was our original point where we were going to hold 40 miles south of the ship. So this thing has went from wherever we were at to about 60 miles in, maybe 30, 40 seconds. It's already over there. And they didn't track it. It just appeared. It shows back up on their radar and they go, it's here. So we're like, okay. So we fly back. We don't see it. We don't see it on our radar. We don't see it on any of our sensors. We do like 2 runs and we come back to the ship and land. So as we're in we call it the PR shop. We're taking off our flight gear. One of my crews is getting ready to go out, and I think they were going to be on a tanker mission, but they had a targeting pod on board. So they launch off, and we're telling them about this before, and the backseater, Chad, says he's really determined he's going to find this thing. So he tells the pilot, hey, we're going to find this thing. So they're just out driving around, and in the back seat of a Super Hornet, there's no stick, but there's side stick controllers, and they're to control the sensors, because that's what the weapon systems guys do. And they can change displays really fast by just hitting a button, and it'll flip from the radar to the targeting pod. And the way the system actually works is when you see something on the radar and you designate it as your primary target, all the other sensors will look at that point. So everything is kind of synced together. So he picks up a hit on his radar, and he goes to lock it up, because I watched all the tapes. He goes to lock it up, and immediately the radar can tell, it gets signals back that it's being jammed. So, and technically jamming is an act of war. It starts jamming the radar, goes into a jam extrapolate, a bunch of stuff happens on the scope. Well, he's smart enough to castle to his targeting pod, and he takes a passive track. And that's the video that you see of the Tic Tac, where it's just sitting in the middle of the screen real quiet.